There we go. Okay, welcome everyone. So this is the Do NASA Science Live Planning webinar specifically for February 11th event that is for Do NASA Science Live through SciStarter. But we'll also be talking about the future events for Do NASA Science Live as well that are all happening in April as currently scheduled. So if you are interested in becoming a facilitator or host or a supporting role of some sort within these events, you are in the exact right place. And we're looking forward to hearing your thoughts, questions, and ideas too. So let's go ahead and get started. To introduce ourselves, so my name is Emma Giles. I'm the Director of Programs and Operations at SciStarter. A big part of why we're here today is because many of you are SciStarter ambassadors or a part of the library network that SciStarter hosts as well. Just a quick FYI about what that is before we move on, and we'll come back to it too if there are extra questions. But the SciStarter ambassadors are folks who are learning how to facilitate citizen science in their communities. So you can take a free training, any of you can take a free training to just get an understanding of the foundations of citizen science and then the facilitation of citizen science with the SciStarter Ambassador training module, which actually, Roland, would you mind dropping the training page in the chat for us? And you can do that for free and anytime, and you're welcome to do so, and you'll become a SciStarter champion, which makes you qualified to hang out with us and do our Do NASA Science Live events and all the rest as well. And so a good chunk of you here today are a part of that program, and we're happy to have you. Also, my co-host, Sarah, go ahead and introduce yourself and the Solar System Ambassadors as well.
Hello. My name is Sarah Marcotte. I am calling in from Pasadena, California. I work at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory and have the honor of coordinating NASA's Solar System Ambassador program. This is a 27-year-old program with volunteers in all 50 states and volunteers that present on NASA science in their communities all over our country and sometimes overseas. So this is a self-selected group of NASA superfans that love sharing NASA science in any venue in their communities. So it could be with telescopes out in a public park, could be in libraries, and I know we have many libraries here today. They go out and present at schools, at senior centers, at local community STEM fairs, parks, you name it. So these are volunteers and people who are passionate about STEM in general, and especially NASA. And this is a program that people apply for every year and are selected and receive training from us and the ability to learn about synergies and opportunities like SciStarter and NASA and citizen science. So where all these roads intersect, we can share these opportunities with our volunteers. I'm going to put a link to our program page where you can see a directory of our ambassadors and upcoming events in your community. I'm going to put it in the chat right here so you can learn more about the program.
Awesome. And I'll actually do the same for SciStarter ambassadors. I neglected to do that. And just
also, Emma, I'm sorry, I will just throw in one more thing. People do apply to our program at a specific time of the year, and we open up the application. This year will be sometime late summer, around August-ish, and we typically open the actual application in September and take applications for about a month or 5 weeks in the fall, and then selections are made by the following year, so early 2027.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. That's actually what I was going to ask you to talk about. And yeah, and that's really good to have the full process that I was curious when the start time is. Yeah. So, for anyone who is looking to join an ambassador grouping, you can join both of them if you would like. That is the case for Solar System ambassadors. For the SciStarter ambassadors, if you have a SciStarter account, we'll notify you when applications reopen. We're hoping to have them open in the next couple months. So, please join SciStarter so you can get the notice when it does happen. All right. Anything to note about either program before I move forward? Feeling good? Okay, and no questions so far in the chat about that. I did see a question from Pamela. This is a Zoom room, so we're in a webinar setting, so you can't see yourselves, but you can make any notes in the chat that you would like to talk to us about. And you will not be in the recording for that reason as well. And a question about is SciStar part of the StarNet program for NASA and libraries? So we're besties with StarNet and do all kinds of programs with them, as does NASA in general, right?
Yeah.
And so if
A lot
you,
of overlap.
lots of overlap. And they're such wonderful people. So yeah, we're involved. StarNet is doing their Science Across America program for America 250, and a lot of what we do is included within that, both Do NASA Science Live and Citizen Science Month related activities. Okay. All right, I'll go to move us forward so we make sure to have enough time for questions. All right, so all of you, just to give you a preface of who we're talking to, you are all SciStar ambassadors and champions already, NASA solar system ambassadors, educators, librarians, and community leaders, and citizen science champions at every level. So even if you're just dipping your toe in, or if you're a longtime veteran of citizen science, this is the place for you. We want you to be involved in this at all levels, and you're a part of this mission to make it happen. All right, so. We are going to do a couple of, we're going to spend some time talking about what Do NASA Science Live is before we actually demonstrate what this looks like. So the big idea is that we want to be able to bring NASA science to real communities and make this participation really easy, social, and fun. People want to get together to do these things. And it's a unique opportunity to have discussions about frontline science in a very accessible way. So we want to empower you to host, facilitate, or participate in NASA Citizen Science as well. Now, just to back up so that we understand what we're talking about when we say citizen science or NASA citizen science, participatory science, civic science will come up a lot with America 250. The simplest definition that we use at SciStarter is that it's a global movement that is enabling people from all walks of life to contribute to real scientific research in collaboration with scientists, anytime from anywhere. So Do NASA Science Live is actually a great example of these because you can be anywhere in the world and still do an activity like Dark Energy Explorers, which we'll be talking about today. You can log on to SciStarter and zooniverse.org to start a project and just get going and actually impact real research. And so you're collaborating, you're helping the scientists as well as being anywhere in the world and doing any kind of science, right? And I'm seeing the chat being super active, so I'm very excited about that. I might have put the wrong link for the SciStar Ambassador directory. If you wouldn't mind helping me out with that, Roland, that would be awesome. We'll resend it. Awesome. And good to see you all. I see a lot of hellos. Happy to have you join. All right, so the reason SciStar is a part of this is because we are a global hub for citizen science. We support all kinds of stakeholders within the citizen science space. So we offer free accounts for volunteers and folks who are trying to train others in citizen science. We are the largest collection of citizen science projects. We are an aggregator of sorts to get as many as possible available to the public. And then we also support with educational materials as well. So we do a whole lot to make sure that all this is easy for you to get started in. So when we talk about Do NASA Science Live, which we've abbreviated to DNSL, so if we use that from now on, just so you know what that means, we're intending to create a virtual event series, which will eventually be monthly. Right now, we're in our first year, so it says monthly a little preemptively here. Next year, it will be monthly. And so it'll be one event in February that's scheduled already, and then we have 3 scheduled for April because of Citizen Science Month. And so we are really excited to have you all join us for all of them, and we'll prepare specifically for February today. So it involves NASA scientists and project leaders connecting directly with you. So they are online with you in the Zoom room. And then your participants who would be joining in with the Zoom as well, either from a location that you decide, you're hosting a space, and you have the live stream up on a projector and you're inviting everyone to join, or they're joining from home. Anyone in your network can just learn about this as well. So we want them to join together, be on with the scientists, and actually do the real science together. So training you in those citizen science projects and then active participation in real time. And then we want these to be facilitated by all kinds of organizations. So if you belong to an organization that wants to host, that's awesome. That's one way to participate. They're facilitated by, at this point, we've seen libraries do it, museums do it, community organizations, senior centers, trained volunteers are who we're gathering now to really help make that facilitation happen. And so that real big part though at the end is it's a shared science experience. It's a very positive way to engage with the science. It's not a lecture. We want you to be empowered to actually participate and feel really good about the work you're doing. And it is, when we say civic science, this is the way to give back to the science community. So if you're really motivated by volunteering, we're very excited for that perspective, especially in light of America 250 as well. Just a small note there. SciStar is a partner of America 250 and America Gives. So everything you do here within 2026 is going to count towards America Gives as well. All right, I'll pause my chatter for right now and pass it over to Sarah to tell you a little bit about what types of roles that you can have.
Sure. So I love this idea of choose your adventure because it makes me think of those books we would read that are in libraries where you could have
Yeah.
these different outcomes. Or if you were watching Star Trek, it would be, the temporal distortion and you ended up in an alternate ending to your
Yes.
thing. Anyway, sorry, going down the rabbit hole. So
I love it.
here's the different roles you can play. So you can be right out there hosting your own event, finding the venue and working to set up one of these live events, particularly in April, since February is right around the corner. So love you to be able to facilitate. And we have very, really specific guidance and help for exactly what that looks like. So Emma's done a great job of spelling out the roles so you can sort of follow a plan if you are hosting and facilitating, really actively facilitating event. Of course, you can promote the activities, Do NASA Science Live, on any of your social channels or your venue's social channels. Encourage them to do that. And they have created all sorts of handy posters and graphics that you can use. So there's some turnkey resources that make it easy to promote and share, put up physical flyers, or have graphics to use in social posts. Some help that we are looking for is helping us in these live events as a moderator. So we do have specific guidance on that. So you can see how active the chat is with our small group today. When we might have 100 people in some of those libraries that have 20 to 50 people in the library, sometimes the chat can get very active. We also use a Q&A tool. So we're looking for moderators that might know a little bit about either the subject we're talking about, say, if it were in February, it'd be dark energy explorers, and maybe answering astronomy or physics questions. It could be on that level, or it could be just how do I do this and help in the chat. So it's either the chat or the Q&A tool. So we're interested in moderators to help lessen that load because when Em and I are on camera, sometimes we lose lock on what's happening in other places. And so that kind of support would be great. And you can also be another person in the room. This is kind of the lowest level of participation, but no less important. You're in the room with a library, or you're a participant online so you can share it with other people later. But you are helping the event run smoothly. So different levels, from the highest level of effort would be your host and facilitator. Lowest level of effort is participant, but no less important. So anything in between? Did I miss anything, Emma?
I apparently missed something. I did want to note that someone reached out about live streaming to from their social media channels as well. And last time we attempted to do it. So if anyone is wanting to do a live stream, like hopping on a new or creating a new live stream to access more folks for this, that is also an option. But I didn't have a great definition for that here. If that applies to any of you, reach out to us and we'll you can actually write a note in the chat if you'd like, and we'll just write a note to reach out to you about it with instructions because that's new. We didn't realize that would be an option that you all
Yeah,
would want to
that's
do. So
so beyond my comprehension. I'm terrible that kind of stuff. So I'm glad you know how to do it.
I pass it off to Roland, who's also here with us. He's
Roland is the
our
key.
technical guru here.
Yeah,
Thank you, Roland. And then I did want to note too, just for as a fun fact, our one of our largest events just last year. Oh gosh, was the eclipse last year? Now my time is all messed up in my brain.
2024.
2024. Oh man. Okay. So my brain is off. But one of our events in preparation for eclipses that was a NASA event series had nearly 1,000 people online at once. So we do
Woo!
need your help when it comes to these events, especially when they get bigger in April, especially. So getting people in a room is like having one person on Zoom instead of that group of 40, which does lighten the load a little bit, but we're still expecting to see hundreds within that chat and Q&A. I'm not
Well,
sure we'll
let's
see that
get
for
everyone in the
February,
country involved. 300
right?
million people.
We would have to up our Zoom account quite a bit,
Yeah, I
but we
think you
can do
would.
that. All right, so let's get to actually what all this is and what you would actually be doing during these events. So, as we mentioned in February, we're going to be talking about dark energy explorers. Just out of curiosity, if anyone is familiar with dark energy explorers already, you can put a raise a hand in the in how do we do that? You can raise a hand as a participant to tell us that you've done it, almost like raising your hand for a question. So feel free to let us know. Yes, Catherine. Nice. Anyone else? And I'll keep talking while that's happening. Yeah, so the project we'll be talking about is Dark Energy Explorers. The project leader, Lindsay House, will be joining us. And it'll be only for an hour. So this is an hour-long event at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time or 6:30 Eastern time. And it's called Cosmic Pioneers, Discovering Distant Galaxies Together. Because Dark Energy Explorers is all about looking at telescope images to determine if we see a potential galaxy or a black hole. So it's not just galaxies, we run into black holes as well, which is always a fun little add-on of like, oh, look, black hole. And so if you're interested in any of those things, especially, we would love to have you join us just as a participant all the way through the other roles that we mentioned. Through April Citizen Science Month. So we'll be doing 3 different events, and that includes What's the Weather Like on Mars, which is the Cloud Spotting on Mars project. You can picture yourself as the first group of meteorologists on a different planet. That's what I call myself as I'm participating in it. And those events in April too are actually 2 hours long. They are long events, which is also why we really want your help and support to help us moderate that chat. But also, you might be interviewed as a participant in that project too, or even as a beginner of like, okay, what are the questions that people might have? And so participating in these April ones will be especially helpful. The next one is in honor of Earth Month and Earth Day is the Animal Spotathon. So NASA actually funds Earth science as well. And there is a project called Snapshot Wisconsin that looks at camera trap images. And so we'll be looking at images of animals and naming what they are and any behaviors we notice, and then go on to the next data point. And then lastly, at the end of the month on April 29th, we'll be doing Rubin Comet Catchers, and it's called Comets, Clues in Our Cosmic History. Because finding comets in this project actually helps us get closer to understanding the origins of water on planet Earth, which is really cool. If any of you are as obsessed with science podcasts as I am, that's been big news in recent past, I believe, or at least it's been recent news in the podcast I listen to, where they're talking about the various theories on where water came from. So if you want to ask questions about that, that is a good time to do it. And then I'm seeing a question in the chat. How do we find out what SciStar events are in our area? Great question. There is a website that you can go to called SciStarter.org/events. Thank you. Thank you, Roland. Yeah, SciStar.org/events, and that'll show you all the events. And it will be, if you have your location settings turned on, it'll specify the ones closest to you first or the online ones. There are quite a few online events, so we always love having you join those as well. And if you have any events, you can add them from that page as well. And I've been asked which podcast. I believe the one I was listening to that time was the Shortwave podcast by NPR. Although there was definitely some by Vox News it's the Unexplainable podcast that has talked about it as well. 2 times, I believe. All right, moving on. All right, so because we want you all to be very confident moving into doing a project like this, we're going to talk specifically about February 11th, and we're actually going to demonstrate it together so you have a chance to participate and check it out. So we have February 11th, featured project, Dark Energy Explorers. We are helping scientists understand dark energy, the mysterious force driving the universe's acceleration, or accelerating expansion, excuse me, by building the largest 3D map of distant galaxies from telescope data. So what you'll be doing is literally classifying the telescope images to determine if it's a potential galaxy or if it's noise. It was described to me at one point from the project leader that there's occasionally a feeling of like a bug on the windshield type of thing from the data that we can get from telescopes, where it's just noise or like something happened where there's just an off measurement. And so we're trying to get rid of all those so that scientists can spend all their time actually looking at real data. And so this is why it helps. It adds millions. We are adding millions of classifications from volunteers, actually checking them to see that they're real data points to make it much faster to do this research. We're reducing false detections and improving the scientific measurement of the universe's expansion and all of the above. And it will be very fun. So I hope you all are interested and available to join us in any situation there. All right, so how do we set up? I'm going to pause for a moment just in case there are questions. Does anyone have questions about the project or anything we have discussed so far? This might have been me. I did that on YouTube for December 11th. Oh, nice. Okay. Which telescope is involved in the project? That's a great question. It's written on the Zooniverse page, so let's look at that in order to tell. I think it might be Hubble. Um, Hubble telescope. I'm not positive, but we'll check when we get to the website. All right. And if there are no other questions, I'll go ahead and keep us going. All right, so these are the instructions to join. So as a part of these events, if you are hosting, for example, and we will talk about what it looks like to host versus moderate, because I think we can give you a lot more information about what you'd be signing up for. But one of the quick things I want to make sure you know is we have the instructions. And so we've made like printable half sheets of instructions that you could totally pass around to the folks who join your event, either in person or sending it to friends ahead of time so that they can join already prepared. We will also do this process of sign up during the event. It just won't be taking up a giant chunk of time in order to move us onto the project quickly. So if you need to revisit the instructions at any point, we'll make sure that's available to you. And I'll show you where you will eventually find all that information because we'll be sending around a nice toolkit for y'all too. So for anyone who's familiar with Zooniverse, this is a separate platform from SciStarter. It's a partner platform in which they actually host the actual project. SciStarter is like a database. It doesn't hold the actual projects for the most part, with very few exceptions. So if you were to go to zooniverse.org, you would sign in with a new account. So for all of you with us today, let's go ahead and do these things. So I'm going to pause my screen share for a moment so I can have another screen on. There we go. And I'm going to jump to SciStarter.org to show you the login page. SciStarter.org/login, and then I'll start sharing my screen again. Right. So you would be here first. And that, let's see, SciStarter.org, and I'll drop that in the chat for you. Step number 1. And then once you've signed in here, that's great. Most of you probably already have SciStarter accounts, so I'm very glad about that. If you don't, take your time, do that. The only thing you really, or the only required pieces are your email and a password. You can always set a username later as well. And then once you've done that, you're also going to go visit Zorro.com, apparently. No, Zooniverse.org. And from here, there's a button in the top right-hand corner that you can barely see that says register, and it will open you back up to this. And so we'll go through this process of signing in. It is a different account. I want to repeat that for you. It's a new account. However, oh, thank you, Roland. However, we are going to link these accounts. And so it is important that you remember your username specifically. So I'm going to shift screens. Don't panic. Just going back to the instructions. So far we've done the login to SciStarter and then creating a Zooniverse account if you don't already have one. And remember your username. So we've only done step 1 and 2. And then the rest is very fast. All right. Questions, giving you a little bit of a moment in time to complete that. If you feel ready, that's great. I feel like I'm directing a yoga class. When you're ready, here's the next thing. We're going to go to step number 3, which means going back to a SciStarter. So from my account here, I have a new account. Let me go ahead and sign in or show you what the account looks like. Signing in. From here, I'm taking note of my username. So I've got EC Giles there, and I'm going to go back and visit my SciStarter account. So I'm already signed in. So let me go to my info and settings. In the steps, it says return to SciStarter and click the drop down icon next to your profile name and select my info and settings. So that is what I did here. I came over to this area, said my info and settings, and now I'm here. I'm showing all my personal information. Scroll. Okay. From the bottom of the info and settings page, this is where we're going to do the setup. So the only step really to connect them is to just add your username to this location, your Zooniverse username, add it here. If you have an iNaturalist account already too, by the way, you're welcome to do that here too. That's of course optional, and we're not talking about iNaturalist today, but both are available. Once you've done that, I'm waiting for the all fields saved message in my top right-hand corner of the page. That's very small for you all, to make sure that it worked. And then that's it. You're done. Ta-da. I'll go back to the instructions just so you can see that written out. So we went to my info and settings, scrolled down to the bottom where it says affiliation integration, and entered my Zooniverse username where requested. And then I didn't have to click save because it also auto saves, but there is a button in case you want to force it to start saving. And really important at the very bottom here, this is the only time you have to do this. You're done. You just had to do it once, as long as it doesn't randomly break, which it shouldn't. Your participation in the projects on Zooniverse, as long as they're on SciStarter as SciStarter affiliates, all of that will track on your SciStarter dashboard. And why do we ask you to do this? Why do I need to set up tracking? It sounds scary. It's not scary. We basically are collecting tally marks. We know nothing about the projects that you're working on. It's just basically saying you classified an image and there's no information about it. That tally helps you in two ways. For one, you can track your volunteer efforts. So if you ever have to report volunteer hours, this is the way to do it. You are also contributing to the Access Science goal of 2.5 million by the end of April, or rather, for the month of April, we're aiming for 2.5 million acts of science. So to be a part of that effort, having all these affiliate tracking data come into play means that we're already tracking that data. You don't have to report it back to us later. So it saves you some time. Hope you feel like your time has been saved. And if you don't, go ahead and email me. We'll chat. And then you'll also be able to see it on your personal dashboard too. So if you do have to reference it for volunteer hours, you'll find it on your SciStarter dashboard. All right. I got a done from Francisco. Thank you.
And
Any
from
other?
Sarah,
And for
I've
Sarah.
got
Nice.
I'm now affiliated.
Yay.
You have to do the hand motion.
It's been
Affiliated
connected.
handshake.
Affiliated. It's a digital handshake. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Is the Zooniverse ID the oh no, it does not. You just need the username itself without the at. Instead of a handle, it's more of just a code.
I think on both
Yeah.
of these sites, you can either use an email or your username. Is that correct? It seems like it took
Uh,
both of mine.
did you put your email into the affiliation integration or your username?
I did my Zooniverse username, but
Username.
I felt like
Okay.
on SciStarter, I could log in using my email as the username.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
that's
it's
kind of
funny because
handy.
Zooniverse asks you to do your username and password to sign in, but SciStarter does email and password instead.
Ah,
So it
okay.
just is different decisions for
I
signing up.
see. Okay.
Oh, and we have someone who ran ahead. Awesome job, John. Done doing Zooniverse training. I assume you mean the tutorial for the for Dark Energy Explorers. You can be our expert as we're going through then.
John is like that. He likes to
Awesome.
be, the first doing it all.
Yeah.
He
Well,
helps
as
me
an
in telecoms too.
FYI, so as an FYI for these events moving forward, this will be a lot faster, sort of, in that we'll explain it and it'll be great for the public. But we're going to do the setup really fast and get over to the program pretty quickly in order for us to start doing the project. So we will do very limited in terms of, we will limit the interview process of between our team and the project leaders until everyone's ready to just get started. And then we'll be talking about the project and the project leaders and getting more into the details so that people feel like, okay, yes, I can get started and multitask, or just I'll be ready to do it when I'm ready to start instead of listen. So it'll be a little bit easier to just get started in these other events. We just want you all to be experts. And then I got a Lavanya. I'm already doing Dark Energy Explorers. Awesome. Catherine already did this during training. Yes. I had the SciStar account, just added Zooniverse and linked them. Yes. Okay. All right. I think we're in good shape then. Excellent job, everyone. All right. So now we're going to pause here. I'm going to stop my screen share so that Sarah can screen share, and we're going to actually go through and start doing the project. We'll do about one or two observations depending on time. We'll learn how to do it, then do that. And then we'll come back to the next steps for you all as facilitators and other support pieces. All right, stop my share. Hopefully I enabled
No,
you to
yeah.
do that.
No, you probably did. I just
Okay. Well,
I closed my page, so I had to
oh
just
no.
get back to Dark Energy Explorers for whatever reason. But it's kind of handy because that then you realize like, oh, how I can find things. So I
Yeah.
went
It is
to
pretty easy to find Dark Energy Explorers too. So
yeah.
if it might actually be nice to look at the Universe website in order to find it before we actually jump to participating. So if you're on zooniverse.org, just plain and simple. Okay, so why don't we jump and actually go to the emblem for Zooniverse at the very top left,
Oh, okay.
just to demonstrate how to get there, because I did not,
Okay.
I shared the link in the chat just now,
Is that
but
it? No. All right. So
projects,
projects, is
yeah,
that the right way? Okay. So how
perfect,
I found
yes.
it is
Mhm.
I was like, how do I get to it? So I went down to these icons. Is that what you would do?
Oh, nice.
And I
Yeah,
found it in
totally. You can
physics.
also, ooh, see, I would be the person who's like, is it
So I
space
did
or is it
there.
physics or is
Ah,
it Drawings, I don't know. So
Okay.
there is that
Because
little
look,
thing on the right-hand
Redshift
side.
Wrangler.
Redshift Wrangler.
Okay,
Love
you
that
mean
one.
this
Yeah, so I also
version?
do
Okay.
that if I know the exact name. If I'm not sure of the name, then of course, yeah, you could go through
Okay.
the list. Perfect. Ooh, yours isn't in dark mode. Mine is dark mode. I wonder if there's a button I clicked. All right, so perfect. I do see some questions in the chat, so I'm just going to address that real fast. For an
Okay.
event, does each attendee set up a SciStar and Zooniverse account individually? Ideally, yes. So ideally, Krista, we would have each individual. If you have a set of computers that you want to already log in for them with like library accounts, for example, you can do it on their behalf and like hold the account information if you're trying to lower the barriers. You can also request that they do it ahead of time or do a family account. So if it's a group together, they just sign on under one account, for example. There's a couple of ways to kind of negotiate that. And we're happy to have any version of that. Ideally, it is everyone independently, but we understand that's a little
Yeah,
challenging
especially
sometimes.
if you could encourage them to go home and do it more, to
Yes.
extend the experience.
Yes. And I'm checking, this is also something that can be done on your phone, or do you need a laptop? You can do it on your phone. Zooniverse is a little tricky on a phone, which is the only bit of information I'll give you about that. There is an app. Not all the projects are on the app. So Snapchat Wisconsin, for example, which is in April, we will not be able to use phones, or at least you won't be able to use the app. You'll have to use the desktop, or rather the like Safari thing in your iPhone, for example. So it's a little tricky. I highly recommend a tablet or bigger because it just makes it so much easier to participate. If that does cause barriers, of course, like you do what you need to do, and you can have them come in and do nothing if that's what they want to do. It's up to the guest to kind of decide. But always recommend bringing those things if you can or supplying them. I am already doing completed. Amazing job, because. And then Catherine, it's both space and physics. They list them everywhere. Oh, that's perfect. Okay. That's good. Yeah, Zooniverse is smart. They definitely will help you out to find these projects. Are there age limitation for participating? I saw age 16 note and I passed over. All right, so for age limits, it is technically a pretty low age limit. I would say anyone from like, I'm going to be really very optimistic here and say 6 years old and older. The reason I say that is because we're totally cool with families being a part of like doing the observations for themselves. So if you have a 6-year-old in the family and an adult doing the actual observations, the key thing to remember here is this is real science. And so a little toddler should not be clicking away at things and like submitting data that's just not accurate. And so just be aware that you need to make sure of that for account purposes too. For signing up, that's a good point. Yeah. So if on SciStarter, for example, you have to be 13 years or older. For Zooniverse, it looks like it's 16. So if you want to assure that that won't be like an issue, you can do the group accounts like through a library set of accounts that you have for them that wouldn't go to their email, for example. The key is that they're trying to follow GDPR and above. So whatever variation you need to take on is fine by us. Um, yeah. So make sure the account is owned by a 16-year-old or older. Okay. Cool. All right, now we can get started. So let's do the project. When you get here, if you scroll up a little bit more to the top,
Oh, like that?
yeah, I just want to point out over to the right-hand side, there's an about, a classify, a talk, collect, and recents. There are a set of oh my gosh, what's it called? Protocols, workflows is what they refer to them as, that'll be underneath this section that has the title.
Bam,
So, which is
classify.
actually the same thing you'll see if you click classify. So if we were to
Hmm.
hit classify, this will take you straight to the actual project, which is the
Oh,
one workflow they have available to us right now.
okay. Oh,
And so when
closing
we
that.
get there, yeah,
Should I stay
so you
there?
can close it and see the whole thing. No, that's totally fine. You can be right there.
Okay.
So this is the classify page that should show up with the tutorial like it did for us, and then we would scroll through. You can see there's a lot on here, so we'll go slowish, but I know a bunch of you are already working, so keep going. Participate right now if you want, like just
Okay,
keep it
I'm just
moving
kind of showing the
and
rest of the
scroll.
page.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. So
All
if
right.
you want to
So
see other
this is the
things,
business end though, right here.
yeah, definitely. And we're going to go to the tutorial button that's on the right-hand side
Ah,
next to task. I see a question in the chat. When describing Zooniverse, SciStar like projects, I say that for classification tasks, 5 10-year-olds are usually better than 1 50-year-old. I love that, Jim. I think that's a great point. In fact, there are projects where I specify it is a known fact that 12-year-olds, like middle school age, are the best at this because their eyes are very sharp. And when they're asked to do a task they enjoy, they are very good at accuracy. So I completely agree. Feel free to continue saying that. Are the guests each doing the classification during February 11th event? Do we show them the tutorial first? Yeah, we'll actually show it for you. So you can do your own instruction beforehand to do a workthrough of the tutorial if you would like. But during the event, the hour will be spent having a section for let's learn how to do it, let's do it, let's interview the project leader, learn more, ask questions. So it'll be kind of spread out in that way, and we'll continue to give instructions if there's issues with the sign up process. Because it is only an hour, so we won't spend too much time. So we'll answer them as we can. Yeah. Cool. All right. So tutorial, welcome. Are you ready to become a dark energy explorer, Sarah?
Yes, I am.
Amazing. So this is all looking at Hubble or Hobby. That's why I had it wrong. Hobby Eberly Telescope for dark energy. So we're looking at the mysterious term dark energy to explain why galaxies expand away from each other at an increasing rate. We are searching for this by creating the largest and most detailed map of the early universe using distant galaxies. These galaxies are 10 billion light years away, and we expect to discover millions of them, which means we need you. 10 mil like millions of them means that there's a lot of data. So we're looking for things that are very faint and can easily be confused as noise. They appear as small peaks of signal in a sea of noise created by a telescope's instrumentation and the night sky. We've pinpointed key characteristics to help you identify what is a real signal. So we're learning a very specific skill, which makes it the real science and that anyone can do it. There's no real limit for us. All right, let's go ahead and head over to the next slide.
So is that
Let's run
this?
through some steps. Yeah. So we're going to use spectral lines. So if we scroll down just a tiny bit to see what image it's relating to. So that spectral line, if we look in the far left corner where we see it on the real data, just connecting the dots between a spectral line versus something else. All right, at the top, yeah, perfect. At the top of this page, because I don't remember what the very beginning said. Oh, sorry, top of the tutorial.
Ah,
First, we use spectral lines to determine if the astronomical object, ooh, your computer is being fun, object is real or fake. So spectral lines are often used to identify atoms and molecules. So it can get really intense with these words, by the way. So just take it with a grain of salt. We try to explain it, and the project leader will explain it in ways that are much easier to understand as we go through it too. So the spectrum is shown in the bottom panel of each universe image. If the blue dots and black lines fit each other well, this is the real source. So if you have that spectral graph of sorts, looks like those pins are along the lines, that's good news. So the example we're looking at is a good example. If it's something that's all kinds of weird, that means that it's not really great. It's a lot of noise. So it'll need to be thrown out. So in these sets, we expect below 50% success of being real. So we'll see more often issues and have to throw away data than we might see galaxies. All right, we can move on to the next one. And I'm looking at the chat because I did see some questions. Where's the project leader tab? Um, if you would like to go to the About page, they do have information about the research team, if that's what you're referring to, because if you have patrons arriving early, is it best to have them create a SciStarter account first or do a connecting type activity, something a little more fun? That's a good question. It's really up to you. We don't want to force you to do boring things. If they're waiting around and there's not enough people to do an icebreaker, go ahead and have them sign up and just hang out for a minute before everyone's joining. But it really is up to you. So I won't force you into any particular direction. In future, it'd be interesting to see if this data can be sonified. You should look at the one that's lightified, which is Redshift Wrangler, because it's similar concept, but totally different type of data. Adrian. All right, so now we spot the real galaxies using the top left images. So we got the black one at the top and then the colorful rainbow ones right below it. These are showing the fiber images from our telescope. They appear as small black dots. Okay, so in your images or the image that we were receiving as real data, I'm looking to find a solid like black point in the middle. Those are the galaxies we want to catch. Each signal is a composite, so it's a bunch of things together, of several spectra tiling, a circular region of the sky. These regions are shown as colored and gray circles in the top right image, which is the one that has all the circles that are in colorful mode. And they're captured by our telescope detector. So in the top left box, I'm jumping down quite a bit, sorry. It's the top left box, black outline, is the sum of all the colored boxes. The more
Ah,
clear and strong the dot appears, the better we trust the signal. Additionally, it's important to see signal in individual fiber spectra. If we see dots in two or more of the colored boxes, we have a better confidence. So if you think you see a dot in the black box, cool. And then if you think you need to look at the other ones, that's great, you should. And if you see two of these colorful ones, the blue, the green, the orange, or the red, if you see a significant dot in more than two or more, then you're in good shape to think, okay, this is likely to be a galaxy. So in the example we're looking at right now, it's honestly, this one's kind of tricky to me because we have a pretty significant dot in the black box where it's like a collection of black dots in the center. The blue one and the green one tell me that it might be a real dot, but they're
yeah,
not the
yeah, looks like,
most clear. Yeah.
yeah, definitely looks like sort of something,
Yeah, it's
you
like
know,
I see
in the blue and
things
the
happening.
green.
And then if we're thinking back to the spectral line, what do you think about that, Sarah? The one at the bottom left?
Oh, that looks good to me because
Yeah.
some of the dots, with the sort of error bars, some of the dots are quite
Hmm.
close to that black peak to me.
Yeah, and not all of them are going to be really pretty either.
Yeah.
Like there's quite a few of here that are like outlier type looking dots, um, but they don't have to be perfect. They could be pretty messy and still be relevant. All right, so and then we're going to scroll down to the bottom of that tutorial to go to the next step. Oh, before we do that, I'm sorry.
Oopsie.
They were giving instructions on so the
Oh,
colored, we also want to see a good signal in the blue and yellow image at the bottom right. So this is that funky looking heat map type thing. If you
oh,
see a round bright yellow dot, that's a good sign. So do you see a bright yellow dot in that box?
we do. Now there in
Totally.
the future, will there be that red box around it, or they're just doing this for the
Yes.
purposes of the tutorial? They are. Okay.
Yes, they definitely will. So this is, yeah, the image on the left-hand side is the real data set. So everything you see on the left is what they'll give you.
Okay.
The ones on the right that say keep at the top, it's going through like a GIF of them. There are quite a few examples in here, and they all give you examples of what to keep. I really love that. If any of you get confused at any point, you can go back to that to kind of do a comparison because some of them are like, this is noise, or this is the throwback, or keep this galaxy. So it'll give you a good like a sense of truth to what you're looking at. All right, on the next slide, then
I was
we
going to
might
start
be in
playing with these
good
things
shape.
over here. Let me just see what
Oh,
that
sure,
does.
go for
Okay.
it.
All right, great. That's all. Okay.
What if the dot is white? Okay, so if the dot is
Like
white
here.
on the left-hand side, oh, okay. If you're talking about the one on the bottom right-hand corner, it really should be yellow. It might be your computer screen, like the type of imaging on your computer screen. On the left-hand side, if you're looking at white ones, that's likely not a dot because it has to be a dark dot in order for it to be distinguishable.
Okay, so
Yeah,
these little pixels don't count,
right. Yeah, yeah.
or the light
Um,
colored where there is no
Yeah, the
color
light
in the
color is the
pixel.
noise and
Okay.
meh. The
Okay.
meh.
The meh.
How do you know if the dot on the spectral peak are good? Yeah, so the spectral peak is honestly one of the toughest thing for me to do. I feel like it does need to line up with the curve. So if you see a curve that's like pretty good and it's like a high peak, like a sudden peak, and everything is following that high peak, that's good. The one that we're looking at on the real data on the left-hand side here, this one, I would say there are quite a few outliers that would make me nervous, which is why looking at the other things, I'm like, okay, that right-hand side one though, with the yellow dot, that makes me more confident that yes, it's good. I want to keep this galaxy. However, on the right-hand side in the tutorial, you'll notice there's one that's like a lower, it's like a wider hump at the top. That's a black hole.
This one.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So you might run into things that are like much wider, and that'll be a black hole. So in that top area, you'll see examples of like where it's a schmear. Schmear
Ah.
is like not the right word. A smear. Schmear is
Hmm.
the bagel stuff.
It's
Anyway,
bagel. Yeah.
like words are hard. That smear is a black hole, which is really cool to
That,
see.
can you
Yeah.
imagine we could
So
see black holes? Ah,
I don't know.
so cool.
It's really cool to know. We can, if we run into these, we get very excited. So hopefully we'll find one on February 11th. We'll be like, oh my gosh, very exciting. All right, on the next slide, then, since we've seen that. So these are throwback examples. I won't go through the words, but just so you can see those examples. We've got a lot of noise on there, so it's no strong dots, which is funny to me on
Hmm.
this image that was there, was that there was no strong dots, but I was like, I see a dot. We
Yeah.
make mistakes all the time. The project
Interesting.
leaders have difficulty with these things sometimes, so it's not a
Yeah.
big deal if you make mistakes. You do your best, and because you do your best, it means we get the best possible data moving forward. And there's a lot
Okay.
of folks who will be looking at each of these images too. It's not just you. Yeah.
Okay, no strong
Um,
dots, and I saw that line. The line didn't count.
hmm Oh, or that yellow thing in the bottom there right now. It's like a bunch of
Okay,
galaxies
streak, not
like on a
good.
line. No
I find
dot.
this heat map one like that like my eye responds to that heat mappy type
Yeah.
image. I know all sorts of
Yeah.
things have to agree, but that heat map, at least on the left-hand set of example data, is very clear to see. Oh,
I
but look at
totally
this
agree.
throwback one. There's several white yellow dots. That's hard.
Yeah, because we have to look at the other things. So what are they noting there? Oh, the line. So
The
like if
line.
something is giving a false positive somewhere, you'll see maybe like it's a glitch. Like if you see a line, there's no lines like that in space. That's what I have to
No
keep
lines.
convincing myself of like, is it sci-fi or is it legit? Which is probably a bad thing to say just because a lot of sci-fi ends up being like Wi-Fi was sci-fi
Yeah,
and now it's a
that's right.
thing. So you never
Tricorder.
know. All right, I want to double check if will attendees receive in-depth training on this during the event? Yes, absolutely. And from a better trained professional. I can do my best and I love this project, so I do participate in it often. But the project leader is much more concise and can do a really good job of those key things that she's known are helpful with volunteers. And so it'll hopefully, it will definitely be faster and more fast-paced for them as well. How far in light years for this data that we're doing? Pamela, I wish I knew. These are distant galaxies though, so they are really, really far. That's why we have such like tiny little indicators to know that they're there. So they're quite far, but as far as giving you a number, I
Yeah,
would
maybe
not be.
a good question for February
Yeah.
11th. Maybe that person could
Yeah,
estimate.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so neat being
Um,
able to talk to the project lead. So it's so wonderful that you can get these people to come and speak to us and speak to kids in libraries and
yeah,
wherever they are. I mean, how cool is that?
definitely. And I think the last two in the tutorial might be pretty quick here. Yeah, if you need help, we
Hmm.
have a field guide. So if you see that question
Okay.
mark with the little teal thing on the left-hand side of that
Okay.
tutorial, you can always go back to the field guide. And then it's
Okay.
just to have fun. So why don't we
All right.
do maybe one or two and then we'll
Yeah.
come back to the slides.
Okay. So here we are in task.
Yeah.
And then really you have two actions, keep or throw
Hmm.
back. Okay.
What do you think about this one, Sarah, based on
Okay. Are
what
we
we've
in a
done?
new one?
Yeah.
Is
Well,
this
this is,
different?
we haven't answered this question
Oh,
yet.
okay. I didn't realize that was example data when it was the tutorial. I
Yeah.
thought that was part of the tutorial.
Oh, no, not
Yeah.
this time.
Oh, to me, I would keep it. That's
You would
just
keep
me
it. Okay.
because
What's your indicator?
I
Okay.
like this little guy. I'm feeling like these things are tracking along the peak, and I'm
Hmm.
feeling like I do see a dot in these two images and definitely a pronounced dot there.
Awesome. Let's do
All
it
this
then.
other gear, I don't know what to do about, but all right,
Yeah,
I'm
well,
keeping it.
the one on the top right, by the way, is talking about those colors, the
Hmm.
colored
Yeah.
boxes.
Okay.
So the good news is that it's referring to the same data. So we're good there. The one in the middle is a bummer because we don't see a dot, but the rest of it is convincing to me too. So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and
All
keep,
right.
yeah.
Keeping it. Ha ha ha. And then I do
Oh,
done.
yeah. You can hit done. Just also know that done and talk, if you're ever unsure of your answer, where you're like, I'm giving my best guess, but I don't feel great about this. You could hit done and talk and say, I don't feel great about this because X.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And so it
you
lets you tag it, it lets you start
interesting.
a new discussion. Oh, they redesigned. Barely. I mean, it's still very
Okay.
readable, but
So
they
you
did
so
shift it.
you would type something here.
Yeah, if you scroll down a tiny bit, I just want to see the bottom of it. Oh yeah, okay, so that would be where you put it is the start new discussion or add a tag of like
Okay.
unsure or
Oh,
something.
interesting. And look, it has the subject number, so it knows exactly
Yeah.
what you're talking about. Okay.
Oh,
I
and it
will,
specifies which discussion board. That's new. Folks, you're seeing some new things. This is great.
yeah, that's
So they
nice.
redesigned their forum.
Okay, I'm going to go back and look, it opened a new tab, so I'm just going to go back to that tab.
That's
All right.
perfect.
All right, so I
And
am,
Pamela looked it up. It's 80,000 to 100,000 light years away.
oh,
Wow.
cool. Thanks, Pam.
Okay.
All right,
Are everyone's data different?
so we already
Oh,
kept it, right? I shouldn't hit it
we haven't
again.
touched this one. We have not touched this one
Oh, that's
yet.
a new one.
Yeah, it's a new
It
one.
just, it
Yeah.
served me up a new one. Okay. They all,
Yeah.
God.
And just to answer James' message really fast, yes, it's fed randomly, so you won't see the same ones as us. If you're doing it along with us, you would be reading it off our screen specifically, not adapting it to whatever you're looking at.
Oh, good
So
point. Good
yeah,
point.
make sure
So we're
you're
all
not,
looking at
yeah.
different things.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We'll make sure to mention that too.
Um,
All right, what do you think about this one?
well, I'm happy with the spectral peak and I'm happy with the heat map. It's
Hmm.
a little bit outside of the red box. Maybe that doesn't matter, but boy, is that a dot. But I'm really not seeing a good dot in the upper black box. I mean, a smear
Yeah.
could be a black hole, but it's to me not very definitive. The
Yeah, I'm
green looks
seeing.
like it has a shape.
Mhm. Yeah, I'd be
So,
nervous to keep this one for a couple of reasons. It's so I'm seeing John saying keep it, Sarah. John, can
oh,
you write in the chat why you think you should keep it? Because I'm actually on camp throwback.
really?
Yeah, I think that the left-hand side is not close enough. Like they're
Hmm.
the dots are very much smears,
Hmm.
but the so like I think it's closer to being a black hole than an actual data point, but I'm also not convinced that it's a legitimate black hole. It's not strong enough.
Okay, what does John say?
Splotchy left-hand side images. Okay, so Adrian's in the camp of I agree it's not great. I think the tiny schmear is likely more a distant galaxy. Schmear. I love how we're using this very inaccurate term.
Technical term.
Yeah. Yeah. This might be one. So there is one thing I will add too, is if you're not sure and you're like, I don't even want to answer, I'm so not sure, you can hit the refresh button and it will give you a new data set.
Oh,
You want to
okay.
try that?
And which is
Because
the
I feel
refresh
like,
button you mean on my browser?
yeah, on your browser.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see if it works or I'm lying to you. It
There's a
worked.
new one.
It worked. Um, okay, and I got another person saying throwback for that. Okay, so how do we feel about this one? And then we'll go back to the slide.
I'm feeling confident to throw this one back, mostly because of the spectral peak.
Oh yeah,
I'm not
that's
feeling good
insanity
about
over
that.
there.
And then in the
It's
heat map area, it's just drama and stuff, not a very clear
yeah,
dot. In the top
totally.
black, I do see a small dot. In the blue, I see a
Hmm.
small dot. God,
But
this
then
is
that's it, right?
starter.
Yeah. Yeah, they get hard. I'm not gonna lie, these are difficult, but that's why we need help.
And now,
Um,
now when we're looking at the peak, I mean, there's just seems to me there's a lot of noise associated with I don't really
yeah.
see good lining up with the peak.
Yeah, it's
There's
got
a
a lot of
few.
outlier looking things.
Yeah.
Totally. All right, let's go ahead and throw that one, and then we
Oh,
will
throw it back.
um, talk about the rest of my slides briefly. I know
Okay.
we only have a few minutes left, so I'll make it pretty brief for y'all.
All right. Should I stop
The
sharing?
question in the chat, yeah, go ahead and stop sharing. Um, Pamela, the description of where it's coming from is actually on their about page and on the front page, like the overview of the project. So feel free to jump there, and we'll talk about it at the event. Okay, so wow, that's not a screen. Okay, so we do have a lot of information to give you about what resources are there for you. I might run over time, so if anyone has to leave at the hour, a reminder that this is recorded. So feel free to come back to this, and we'll send a nice follow-up email with everything. But the big points to know is if you want to host, we will take care of you. We have turnkey resources. We have posters like this one right here. We have a guide that is a lovely looking like slide deck that's like two slides where it's like here's the basics, here's a potential workout of the event. We have grant funding for y'all even. This event toolkit at the bottom, do not put it in the chat for me, Roland. It is not ready yet. It is under construction, but we will have it ready for you very soon and it will be in the follow-up email. If you would like to be a host, that means you're opening the live stream up to a group of people. You are welcoming guests. You are setting it up with Wi-Fi, making sure they have devices or they're comfortable with just watching. We would love for them to be participating as much as possible. We want you to participate together. So you'll be facilitating them, making sure we're answering questions that you have, and collecting questions to add into the live Q&A that's on Zoom. You might also be creating any kind of shared a hands-on thing that you'll do as a part of it. So you can have your own personal flair to it as well, or you can just do a hands-on learning experience through us. And then on the right-hand side, moderate a Zoom event. If you do not have a community to bring this to, or rather just don't have like space to make this type of hosting happen, we are still looking for people to help us actually make sure these run very smoothly, as we mentioned at the start. So this means you're joining the Zoom early, you're checking in with us, and we'll elevate you to a panelist so you can see everything. You'd be monitoring both chat and Q&A and answering questions that you're very confident about. If you're not confident about things, you can not answer anything. Like you're not required to answer anything. You'll also be flagging technical issues or unanswered questions for us if that happens. You're part of the virtual support team, so you'll be a part of that production team. And so hopefully we'll get a few of you who are interested in doing that with us. So if you're a host, just so you can get a good idea of what this looks like, I'll send this so that you can actually see all this with more time. But the big idea is that you're the friendly face. You are helping them during the event, and you're giving them an option for how to sustain engagement. So printing out a flyer that describes how to continue later at home is a part of that. And we have those flyers for you. Um, and then we would like you to be able to promote your events. So we'll make sure you have those promotional resources as well. Oh, these got flipped. This is what the event toolkit will have in it, plus other things. So we'll come back to that in follow-up email. If you want to be a moderator, this is what that looks like. Again, running through it pretty quickly here, but the idea is that you show up early. We make sure that you're ready to participate, and you are helping with the Q&A, the chat. You're making sure not to answer anything you're not confident about, and you're letting us know of any issues. And then that's it. There's nothing after the event you need to worry about. All of this, when we hit April, so the 3 April ones count towards Citizen Science Month, which is our goal for 2.5 million acts of science. We will, of course, talk about this more and more. There's even an event on Tuesday of next week to talk more about April specifically. So if you're interested in coming to that, I'll make sure the link to register for that is in the follow-up email for you as well. All right, I'll skip this because that's a headache to look at in such short amount of time, but the idea is we all fit into the Citizen Science Month goal in April. All right, so for you all today, in the last moment of time, we want you to make sure that you are there for February 11th as a participant, as a moderator, as a host. We want you to register in any situation. We also want you to apply for funding if you would like it, either for the February 11th event or later in April. If you are a person who will be hosting an event, we want you to make sure you have the resources. Everything will be available at scistarter.org/NASA. I'll also make sure to mention these things in the follow-up email, of course. If you want to be a moderator, we are not just going to take people in. We will have a maximum of 3 people per event, to make sure we're not overloading ourselves with more instead of helping make sure that everything's taken care of. So there's a form. When you get to the form, it'll ask you questions about like if you've taken certain trainings through SciStarter, if you know the project already, etc. And so just take some time looking through the list too to see if you qualify as a moderator as well. We'll be picking 3 people, so just be aware. We'll try to do 3 different people for each one, depending on which projects you want to do. So it is up to you. I also included the other Access Science Connected projects that are happening during April. So it's not all NASA. If you'd like to lend a hand at the other ones, I've included those just in case. All right. And that's it for next steps. That's the big chunk. And Roland can actually drop that whole set of links in the chat for us now, if any of you want to do that right this second.
He
Oh, he
has.
did.
He's got register,
You're on
apply.
top of it.
Yep. Forms are nodding. And just so people
Perfect.
know, the event support, the funding is if you have a location. So you definitely have to be in a physical location, museum, library, school, senior
Yes.
center, that sort of thing, a community space.
Yeah, you will certify that you have a location before we send you any money.
Yep.
Beware, that's part of the requirements, totally. All right. So I did want to have time to ask questions of you all if there's anything you need from us in the meantime. So I'm going to just drop these questions here in case any of you want to stay beyond the time and talk to us a bit more. I'll go ahead and turn the recording off right now. If there is anything I need to answer before then, I'm just doing a little quick check. If I needed more information, being a moderator, is there a way I can email you? Yeah, of course. Let me send my email in the chat. So it's emma@scistarter.org. Super difficult to remember. You can also
And
email
Dennis,
info.
I can
Yeah.
always connect you as well.
Yes. Yeah. Whatever emails you have of any of us, we can connect you to anyone. There's also info@scistar.org, which goes to a bunch of us, including Roland. And so we'll make sure to answer your questions. Is the chat going to be preserved in the saved training? So we don't usually share the chat out, but if you had links in here, like the steps and such, we'll make sure the steps are in there. Is there anything in particular that you want us to hold on to, Anthony? And I'm checking to make sure I didn't miss any other questions. You're very welcome to the folks who said thank you. Are the event toolkits? Yeah, everything is free. Everything is free. I want to make sure I say that before the recording stops.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Anthony was interested in links. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah,
any
we'll
of
make
those
sure the
links.
links are on the follow-up email. Not to worry.
Yep.
And then February 11th is 1 hour. April events, 2 hours. February, 1 hour. April, 2 hours. April's a big deal, so we're like 2 hours. February is a lower key practice event, but also very much a real event. Like it's a real project and everything too. The grant money is intended to be used for supporting your event. So getting materials, setting up a buffet of food for your attendees, any kind of related work, printing prices, anything like that. When will grant notifications go out for those who applied? Great question. February 11th will go out the soonest because we're trying to do that ASAP. So if you're applying for February 11th, get it in like now because it'll be the notifications will be sent pretty quickly here. And then the rest of them will probably take another couple weeks on the registration page since I host my own YouTube live stream. Um, Good question. Why don't you go ahead and say view independently, and I'm just going to write your name down as, can you email me actually, Kelly, for anyone who is trying to do an extra live stream, go ahead and send me an email because we will need to give you information to do that. Ta-da. Awesome. February doesn't count towards the 2.5 million acts of science for April, but it does count towards America Gives. So it is still a part of America 250, um, just a different bucket of a challenge. So that'll count towards the entire year as opposed to April. Awesome. Okay.
Okay.
Any other burning questions before I turn the recording off? 3, 2, 1, stop. Bye, recording.